Good afternoon, Read 180 family, and those of you joining us on the East Coast, and good morning to our Read 180 team on the West Coast. My name is Nicole Foster, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Product Management for the Read 180 team here at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. We are so excited to have you guys here for our first official Read 180 office hours. This is a great opportunity for the Read 180 educator team as well as administrators to get really practical tips and strategies that you can implement in your classrooms as you're thinking about for getting ready for back to school. And today we're really excited to introduce our first topic, which is setting up systems of accountability. And so I'm excited to be joined by one of our rock star implementation managers, Kim Mosby out of California, who's going to help us lead this discussion. So Kim, tell us a little bit about your background as an educator, and then tell us a little bit about what you do as an implementation manager here at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. Hello, everyone. I always say that I'm a TK, I'm a teacher's kid, so I think I came to teaching quite naturally. I'm a former elementary teacher. I taught kindergarten mainly, but also fourth grade, and I loved it so much I decided to work with teachers and bettering their own practice. So I come to HMH in the role as a manager of implementation services in helping teachers become masterful teachers using our programs. So that means I help them in their classrooms when they are teaching the program, as well as training and ongoing data support for them.
So that's great. So Kim is a great resource for you in your classrooms, but also here through our office hours to really be able to take your Read 180 implementation to the next level. So we're going to get started with our first office hours. As I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about systems of accountability, both for teachers and for students. During our time together, please join us on our Facebook page, and in the comments field, please leave questions for us. After Kim's finished presenting, we're going to go through those questions, and she's going to be able to respond to you in real time. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Kim, and let's get started.
All right. Again, thanks, Nicole. I'm so excited to talk with all of our educators out there really about the procedures and processes that they can set up in their classrooms to make a more effective classroom process. And really, how do we hold students accountable for what they're doing in the classroom? I know some of the teachers that I work with are a little apprehensive to fully implement all of the areas of the rotation because they don't know what students are doing when they're not with them. So we have some exciting things to share with you about how you can goal set using the student conferencing log. Also use the observer report to track how students are doing in small group and whole group. Look at what's happening during the student application and how we can track data. Also, look at exit slips, that two-way communication where students can tell you as the educator how well they are receiving the lessons and any questions they have. And then finally, growth mindset. If students have that growth mindset, a lot of what we do is so much easier. So as I first mentioned, goal setting. When we think about students setting goals, having that buy-in is key, but also self-monitoring. Read 180 Universal Teachers, you can easily help students set their goals by using the student conferencing log. There's one on the screen for you to take a look at, and we actually monitor not only their reading inventory progress, but also how they're doing in whole group and small group, the independent reading rotation, and student application. What I truly love is we have data reports like the reading inventory goal setting report that will allow students to track how they do from assessment to assessment, and for you, the teacher, to set realistic goals that they can achieve. What's also amazing about this goal setting with the student conferencing report, it allows students to set goals when they are in the independent reading rotation, meaning how many books they read, how many points they earn, as well as taking those challenge quizzes right there in the student application. So again, this is a way to have students with buy-in to what they're doing and also self-monitoring their goals. Something else I mentioned is by having students, or teachers rather, use the observer report. Built into the digital teaching guide, you can actually track student performance against language and literacy goals. This is done during whole group and small group. You can tell whether the students are on track, nearly there, or not quite mastering those specific goals for the lesson. It's real-time data, and it bubbles up into a beautiful report. That report will let you as a teacher know who needs extension activities, additional practice, and it allows you to then monitor how students do across the school year. So I may not have understood that skill at the beginning of the year as a student, but as the year progresses, I'm mastering that skill. So yeah, the Observer report is an amazing report to use based on how they do during whole group and small group lessons. Now I tell you, I work with hundreds of teachers in a school year. And one thing that they always wonder about is, what are the students doing when they're on the student application? Students spend 15 to 20 minutes on the software each day, so they become masterful at the student application. As a teacher, though, I want to know, are they truly mastering what they're doing on the application? One way that I can do that is by having students extend their learning beyond just the interaction on the computer. So what you're looking at on the screen now are some fluency passages. These are the same passages students record themselves in the success zone. But I can actually use this beyond just when they're on the computer. Why not set up fluency folders where students can work with partners to work on repeated readings and improve their fluency each time they read. These are also leveled, so you'll have passages for levels 1 through 6. Again, this is beyond just working on the computer, but deepening their understanding of what they're doing on the software. There are also writing prompts, at least 2 writing prompts per segment. They get to work on more informative or argument writing, and this again is extending what they're doing when they're in the writing zone. So again, I can set up folders and have students work and show that they really did acquire the skills from the software. This is also great because some teachers need a plan B for days when the internet is not working the way we want it to. And we know that's a reality, right? How many times have you walked in the classroom and technology hasn't been working? So I can use these fluency passages and writing prompts to help me with that plan B. I also love our exit slips. The exit slips are a two-way communication tool. I ask the students, hey, what have you learned today? Or students can communicate to me what they're still confused about or they still have questions about. It allows a teacher to know what students have mastered as well as any questions that we might need to answer the next morning. Exit slips are also a great way for you to find out from students what they felt was important about that lesson and how well they can master again what you've taught. How many times as teachers have we stood in front of the classroom and gone over this beautiful lesson, but students still have questions and they don't quite know how to communicate those questions to the teacher. So they can do that through the exit slip. And they don't have to raise their hand and feel embarrassment from their classmates. The final thing I wanted to talk about was growth mindset. Growth mindset really is building that culture of I can do anything. Perseverance and hard work is what helps students achieve their goals. So by fostering that growth mindset in your classroom, you may not even have to do some of these accountability pieces. Students feel so incredibly empowered to succeed that they don't need a lot of monitoring. What I appreciate about our new Read 180 Universal program is that we start each and every stage with a growth mindset workshop, but also built into our software are stems that foster that growth mindset. So the computer will tell the student to keep trying and that they're on the right track. Again, to help them see that if they continue to exercise the muscle of the brain, they'll get smarter. Yeah, so those are just a few things that I know teachers need in their classrooms to really help them hold students accountable for what's happening in all the areas of the rotation, and also to communicate back to the teacher what students feel real successful about.
Well, Kim, thank you so much. I think that as a former Read 180 teacher, I know that getting ready for back to school is a sort of a monumental task, but it's the most important task that a teacher can do, spending their time this summer. And so as you think about July and August and getting ready to start the school, think about how we can best help educators. Let us know, how do you think they should spend their time in July? And then how do you think they should spend their time in August? Thinking about, okay, I want to make sure I'm still enjoying that summer vacation,
Right.
but at the same time, how am I best prepping? So based on many of the things you said, how should they think about using the rest of their summer and bringing in some of these tips and strategies into their classroom?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Nicole. I know for me in the summer, what I would recommend teachers to do is actually to read through a lot of the workshop passages and also a few of the paperback books that students have, just for enjoyment of themselves. Many times it's a week before the lesson when I'm prepping, but if I've already read all the selections, I have a better understanding of what students will be experiencing. And I also thinking about the organization that they need. I was a person who loved file folders. So everything was labeled and copied, so students knew exactly where to go to get the documents. Everything that I showed on the screen earlier is available through our resources tab in Teacher Central. So I, as a teacher, would spend July and August maybe printing some of those off and just prepping my class, all the file folders, getting ready so that students have everything they need at their fingertips.
And I'd also love to know, as you think about your role as an implementation manager, how are you thinking about training going into the summer? We know that coaching and that support from implementation managers and from the administration is critical to really getting that implementation off the ground. How are you all going to be able to support those teachers? What does that look like in our trainings?
Yes, our Read 180 Universal trainings are a wonderful experience where teachers get to experience Read 180 as a student. So we actually put them on the software so they get a taste of what their students will be doing. But also we want to take a look at what is the instructional track. So how am I introducing skills? How are we reinforcing those skills throughout the year? We also spend time helping teachers understand the teacher side of the software. So what are all the resources that teachers have at their teach them how to navigate that system? Finally, we spend the last few minutes talking about how to prepare for the first 3 weeks of instruction. So really looking at the planning guide, what do I need to know to get started? We share with teachers even how to lay out their classroom, how to organize the 3 different rotational areas, how to maybe organize their desks, so that way they're ready to start at the first day of school.
Great. And so we have some questions coming in on the Facebook page in the comments field. And so one of them relates to the fluency passages. And those are relatively new with Read 180 Universal. So some of our educators who are watching who might not have moved to this new edition of Read 180 might know what that is. So can you tell us what those passages are and how they...
So the fluency passages, there's several different ones, and the ones I highlighted actually come from the software. So as students are navigating through their segments in the Success Zone, they will record themselves reading a fluency passage, and that passage is saved for the teacher to then evaluate later on. We also have additional text through our digital teachers edition that we call fluency passages or consider it text for students who might need additional support at a lower level, understanding and comprehending what's going on through the workshop. So those are just 2 different types of fluency passages that we have. We also have access to different level readers. So students can read passages at different grade levels at different times of the year, again, to build that fluency muscle. Too many times we communicate to students that fluency means read fast.
Yep.
And it doesn't. You know, we used to say it's all about prosody and expression also.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that students have repeated reading because they get better the more they read the same passage. But also we want to make sure that we teach them how to chunk their reading, how to change their expression when they get to the ends of questions and those types of things. I also love that we can use some of our System 44 decodable digest passages as fluency passages. Again, not only am I reading to practice my decoding skills and phonics skills, but also to strengthen up those other elements of what fluency means.
Great. And so we have a couple more questions that are on our comments field. So the first comes in from Samantha, and she asks, can you print out extended work from resources in SAM and then for writing?
Yes, you can. What's amazing is they are all PDFs, so you can download them and print them off. I like to then rename them, something that makes it easier for me to find, and then put them in separate folders for each and every workshop. So yes, all the resources that I shared, you can easily find them in the resources tab by either searching by the common name. So I shared the student conference log. You can just type in student conference and one of that document will come up. But you can also search for anything by workshop, or if you're looking for something to support the software, you can actually look at the different segments in the software, and all the resources for that segment will come up.
Great. We also have another question coming in from Sally Dalton, and Sally Dalton's actually one of our Read 180 bloggers, so also check her out on the Read 180 community. She asked, many teachers are using Google Classrooms in their lesson. My students log on to the Read 180 and System 44 programs using Chromebooks. Which Google form do you think is most effective for receiving student feedback?
I think using actually the Google form is a great way to receive information from students. You can set it up like a survey and have some generic questions. You can even take the exit slip that we have and make that into a Google form, so that at the end of each lesson or the end of each rotation, students can quickly type in how well that lesson was received by them, if they have any questions that they want to communicate to you. And what's amazing about Google Form is you can actually export that into a Google Sheet, and it comes out in a nice spreadsheet that you can filter. So I love using Google Forms as almost a survey tool.
Great. So I hope that helped you out, Samantha and Sally. And we have one more question coming in that asks, what is the big difference between Read 180 Next Generation and Read 180 Universal? So I'll take that one, Kim. So we were really excited this past fall to launch Read 180 Universal. What we did in building this new edition is really actually spend a lot of time with teachers and administrators across the country, really getting a sense of what did they need more of in terms of really to accelerate teaching and learning, but also what were the best practices and what was the best research out there in terms of how do we help struggling readers really make that leap and that transition back to grade level. And so many of the new things that you'll see integrated into the program, first and foremost, as Kim mentioned, is growth mindset. We know that mindset is number one in terms of thinking about how to move students forward. And same thing for teachers. If they believe that they can do it and that they're going to have the tools and support to do that, then that makes a huge difference when it actually comes down to looking at those passages that might be a grade level text that might be at first a little daunting and challenging, but they now have the tools and the infrastructures built into the program to think about the challenge as an opportunity. And so built throughout all of the rotations of the program are opportunities to talk about growth mindset with your student, help them internalize those best practices, and then when met with a challenge, they're really able to sort of move past that using these best practices and strategies. And we were really fortunate to partner with Stanford University and Mindset Works and Carol Dweck out there to really think about how do we best implement that into the program. In addition, we really thought about academic language. Academic language is huge, whether you have a student who's an English language learner or not. We wanted to make sure that you had way more support embedded into the program to really support the fact that all of our students are academic language learners. And so we really wanted to make sure that that support was way more robust this time around. We also wanted to think about the educator and how can we make sure that the program also served as a better form of professional development within the program for the teacher. And so we have a new platform called Teacher Central and one for leaders called Leader Central that really gives them real-time professional development, also that real-time data so that they can adjust course in real time. And what we're also really excited about with Read 180 Universal is that it's all new content, so that we're thinking about how do we make those connections across all of those cross-curricular programs that you see during the day, but also that it's relevant, and so that the kids are seeing something on the news or in their community and they're really being able to grapple with that in Read 180 Universal. So there's so much more I can dive into, and we'd love to be able to have the opportunity to talk about Read 180 Universal more with you. But I want to thank Kim for joining us today. I think you guys got a lot of really great practical tips that you can use as setting up for back to school. Any last words, Tim, that you want to share?
You know what, I actually do just want to piggyback real quick off of what you said about growth mindset. And when you were talking, it really made me think about what is core to what I do, which is support teachers. And so when we go and work hand in hand with teachers and partner with them, I think my entire job is really to help them have that growth mindset. You know, sometimes when a new textbook comes, it's daunting. I don't know where to start. I don't know. I open the book and then say, now what? So for me and my consultant team, we actually go out and we help teachers, and we really let them know that they're going to get it, but we help them do it step by step, and we partner with them. So we set goals, and we really work with them to see that I can do this if I just keep at it. And so every time we talk about growth mindset, I think about what we do as a professional services team, and that's really help support and partner with teachers.
Great. And I think that's a great way to end our first official Re180 office hours, knowing that you have Kim and her team of implementation managers as a partner, but hopefully you'll be able to use these office hours that we're going to have over the next few weeks to really be able to give you those practical tips and strategies to really help you take your implementation of Re180 to the next level, and that you have a team here of Re180 experts and professional development experts who are really going to help you to do that. So we're really excited to come to the end of our first official Re180 office hours. We hope that you'll join us this time next week. So on Thursday, July 20th at 12 p.m., we will be having our second office hours where we're going to be talking about how do you set up a really effective independent reading rotation. So we have a really great reading expert who will be joining us next week. So thank you for your time. We also want to make sure that you know if you have any follow-up questions from today's session, please reach out to us on our Re180 Facebook page. We also want to make sure that we can connect you to wonderful rock stars like Kim, who can really help you get your implementations off the ground and really think about planning for back to school. We have a great services team ready and willing to help you do that. So thank you for joining us, and join us next week on July 20th for our second installment of Re180 office hours, where we'll talk about setting up our independent reading rotations. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.